Hi, this is the second part of my video for my converted Chaos Bikers. In this video I'm going to show you how I painted them up in my own Warp Vipers Legion scheme. Right, let's get started. Right, let's put the first coat of paint down on the bikers. Got my airbrush ready to go on about 25 psi or something like that. So we've got three colours for that, for my particular scheme anyway, and that's Warpstone Glow by Citadel. They're all by Citadel, these three. Moot Green and Flash Gits Yellow. So we'll start with Warpstone Glow. Airbrush, and I'll put some, if you've seen any of my other videos you'll know the score by now. Airbrush Flow Improver by Vallejo. Pop some of that in the cup. I don't know, a few drops there, 5 or so. And then get an old knackered brush for getting some of this out of the pot. You get some more of this, not much of this left. And just whiz that round in there. Mix it up. And then I'll just test somewhere on the palette or wherever. See how it flows. That looks quite good. Right, so let's put some on the model. So we get the model. I'm just going to spray pretty much over the whole thing, really. Definitely all over the bike. Yeah, well, the whole model pretty much, apart from the tyres and that. There we go, something like that. So while that one's drying, I'll go on to the next one. And then start the next stage of the moot green. The Warpstone Green is all done. A couple of coats on all of them to get the nice even coverage. And then the next colour will be Moot Green. So same again. I'm not sure what the ratio, it differs from paint to paint. So I just mix it, put what I think in, and then see how it sprays, and if it's looks too watery I'll put a little bit more paint in, and vice versa. That looks spot on. There we go. So now for this, I'll do it in select areas on the bike, like highlighted areas, and then almost like a Zenithal priming on the actual marine on the bike, which is like from above angle, from above and at an angle like that, and then I'll flip him round and do the opposite side. I'll show you. Okay, so we'll start in the middle of that little panel. Just do this kind of thing. And towards the front of that part there. And the front of the bike there. Just leave some of the Warpstone Glow behind towards the backs and the edges and stuff. that kind of thing. Right, so now I'll do the actual rider. So I'll do it from his left and above, like this kind of angle, and just let the paint catch whatever it's going to catch, like that. So you can see how there's like kind of a two-tone to him. Showing up like that, and then I'll swing him round and then do the same, but from the back, wherever it catches, like that. Okay, so I've just mixed up some Flash Kits yellow for the next bit. I haven't done as much because I'm using less and less with each colour at this stage. So same again, but not a lot this time, just in the exact same spots except smaller, if you know what I mean. So in the centre, and don't go as wide as we did with the moot green. And the front of that, towards the tips of the tips of the edge of the bike, the front of the bike, I should say. Put my teeth in, Rob. There we go, like that. And the edges of that part. A little bit at the back, and then the same again with the rider. So Zenithal, like this, and then same again from the back, just catching all the top parts. And that's it. That's that stage done, the base coat all down. Okay, before I do the next part, I'll just show you what that looks like. If you can get a look at that, I can't quite tell. If you can see that properly, there's a nice two-tone effect to that on the guy. He looks nice bright yellow, and then from the other side and underneath he goes more dark green. That's what that Zenithal effect looks like. So I'll do that on the standard Marines as well, not just the ones on the bikes. Okay, so now it's on to just painting the base coats on all the rest of the model really. So I'm going to start with all the silvers, all the silver parts, and for that I'm going to use metal colour Duraluminium. What was it? Yeah, Duraluminium by Vallejo. So give it a shake, put an agitator in to mix it all together. Put some on the palette. And a brush. And just start laying down all the silver parts really. I like using this paint because it just really goes on easily and well. Like for instance on this chain blade, just you don't have to work it in at all, it just runs right in all over the model and covers really well as well. So paint all the chainsawy parts, maybe the blade at the front as well. I'll do the exhausts this colour. Apart from that part, I'll do that like a more brassy, bronzy colour, or copper maybe. So we'll do all of them. I'll paint the chain on this particular one, silver. The gun barrels. What else? I'll do the spikes on the front, silver, and also the wheel alloys. It's best to do the wheel before you do the tyre, because you have to. If you paint all that black and then get into this, you'll definitely get it all over the tyre. So do the middle bit first, and then do the tyre last and the up. Once I put all the base coats down, I'm going to put a coat over the entire model of AK Interactive rust streaks to shade the whole model and make it look old and dirty. But so you need like lighter colours because it'll tone the colours down a little bit. So I want a nice light brass rather than a darker brass colour. So I use either this one, Rune Lord Brass by Citadel, or I sometimes mix my own out of metal colour paints, and it's pretty much exactly the same colour as that. So I use metal colour gold, bit shake, from the palette, just one drop, and metal colour copper, again just one drop, and then duraluminum that we used before, one drop of that. Mix it all together on the palette, and eventually it becomes a nice brassy colour. There we go, it's coming. There we go. And just like I said, put it all over with all the trim parts. I just like the way the metal colour paints just run onto the model really nicely. Give good coverage for how runny they are. So yeah, I'll paint that. I'll paint the bits on the chest, on the head as well. Paint all of the skull on the shoulder pad and the trim. I think I'll paint that part of the foot this colour, just so it's got a bit of this colour down the bottom half of him as well, and the little thing on top of the knee there. I'll paint the icon this colour, and and the trim all around here, and these spikes as well will be that colour. I also paint the crown thing at the back. I think that's it, yeah, just what I said there. Hilt of the chainsword, and then all the other trims around the model. So I'll get back to you once I've done all that. Right, continuing with the metallic base coats, just going to put a coat of copper by Vallejo metal colour just on the canister part, or whatever that's called, of the exhaust. So yeah, just going to paint these and then onto the next colour. Next colour I'm going to use is Corvus Black by Citadel. Yep, so it'll be on the bolters themselves. So on there, trying to avoid the silver parts in the body of the bike. Yep, the chainsword itself, the body of that. And also use this colour. What else do I use it? Oh yeah, the joints in the armour, like the these parts. Just noticed I've missed a gold trim there. I'll have to go back and do that. And then also the handles on the bike, do them this colour. I use this colour because it's, rather than just jet black, it's a nice really dark grey, and because I'm going to put an all over wash on the entire model, it's actually you can actually see it over the, the grey parts rather than black. You can't really see much over the top of that if you go to jet black. So yeah, is there anything else? I think that's it for this colour. Piping, I usually do the piping, but I've done it silver on this one. And then on the the Champion, I've done his shoulder pad in this colour as well, because his transfer is a yellow colour, so it wouldn't show up very well on green. Other than that, that's it. Next, I'm going to do the black. So this is just Model Colour Black by Vallejo. I find this spreads better than Citadel blacks, like Abaddon black and that. I find it doesn't give very good coverage. So yeah, this is just for thin some of that down. This is to paint the tyres on the bike. And also I'll paint the little screen on the handlebars in this colour. Okay, nearly towards the end of the base coating now, so just got a couple of things left to do before we move on to the next stage. So I'm just going to use some dryad bark, and I'm going to paint the pistol holster with this colour. A couple of coats of this colour. Okay, next detail we're going to do is the little recessed chaos shape on the top of the bike there. So I'm going to put some white paint in there. So I'm going to use, you can use any white paint and thin it down, but I'm going to use Dead White by Game Air from Vallejo, just because it's nice and runny. So pop a little bit on the palette. Just wet my brush. A little bit on the tip. And then I'm just going to try and let it run in those gaps, little recessed part like that. Also, it's almost like a white wash at this point. Make any mistakes like that, you can just usually just rub it off because it's so runny. Okay, and just do a few coats of that so it's a nice solid white. And then once that's dry, I run some red ink in. This is Vallejo Game ink. Again, it's nice and runny. You can use Carroburg Crimson from Citadel, or just water down a red paint or something like that. But this one's already ready to go for me, so I'll get some of that. Same again, wet my brush. Get some on the brush. And just carefully use the tip to run it into the cracks. There you go, let that dry and do another coat so it's nice and vibrant. It's pretty much done, to be fair, already. Next I'll do some of the other red details, so I'm going to use corn red. I'm going to paint the eye lenses, if I can get in. There we go. And also I'm going to run it, make it a little bit thinner. Some water, and I'm going to just on the screen there, I'm going to do like a rectangle of this. Then I'm going to build up on top of that, because I imagine this is some kind of targeting system. Let that dry, and then I'm going to make a smaller rectangle in the middle of that one with Mephiston red. Or Mephiston, however you pronounce that. The last details, I use Corax white from Citadel, which is an off-white. I use this one because it covers much better than any of the like full white colours. And I just use this for all the skull details on the model. So there's one on the chest there. I'll do that one. And there's a little one on the backpack in the middle of that arrow. And then on some of the other models, they have horny sections and skulls on them, like that. I just paint all them in this colour as well. Right, so next I'm going to put the transfers on the model. I think there's only one on this one, just his shoulder transfer. So for my custom Legion, I use the Chaos Knights transfer sheet and use these little, they look like a snake skull or something. So I use them. So you need this size or this size for the shoulder pad. So I'll just cut one of them out. So perhaps use that one there. Okay, so get that soaking in some water with an old brush, like so. And then I use this stuff, so Micro Set by, who's it by? Micro Scale Industries. You can get this off eBay or Amazon or something like that. Get some on your brush. And this is Micro Set, which is basically, I think it's like a glue really. So you do it on the area you want and wet it, like so. Like so, and then just push it around. Try to get it nice and central. Oops. That looks pretty good, to be fair. Yep, spot on. So, use a piece of your kitchen towel, tissue, and just carefully press on to absorb the excess, and it should stay right in place then. And then because it's a shoulder pad and a bit curvy, it has some little creases, so that's when we get the other stuff, which is Micro Sol by the same company, and this is like a softener, decal softener. So again, we'll get some of that on the brush. Just dab that onto the transfer. And then just let that sit on there for a few minutes, and it'll soften the decal. And when you come back to it, just get a soft damp brush and just iron out the little creases. So just give that a minute or two. Okay, so hopefully that's softened it up now. So I'll just get this little brush, gently brush out any little creases. That looks pretty good. Beautiful. The decals are all applied. I'm just going to give it, the whole model, a coat of matte varnish. Now this, you don't necessarily have to do this stage, but I've just found that when I put the wash over and I use like white spirits to remove it, sometimes it removes some of the metallics. It seems to do mostly. It just like a little bit can come off sometimes. So I'm just going to give it an all over coat of matte varnish. But if you don't want to do it over the entire model, just do the section where the decal is, and that'll make it nice and matte, and it won't look shiny like it currently does there. So for that, I'll get some airbrush flow improver as usual. A few blobs of that, and then a few blobs of the matte varnish. So this one's Vallejo matte, acrylic matte varnish. I just get a little rubbish brush to mix it up with. So yeah, I would definitely give that a coat. You can use a normal brush if you want. You don't have to use an airbrush. For the shoulder pad, but the rest of the model much easier with an airbrush. There we go. I'll do the rest. Okay, this is where the magic happens now. So we've it's all dried from the coat of varnish. So yeah, so we get some of this stuff, Rust Streaks by AK Interactive, and it's an enamel wash. So that means you can once it's on, you can reactivate it with the mineral spirits or white spirits, or I've got this one which is just an odorless white spirits really. Find that on Amazon or something, just because white spirits is pretty smelly. So I get my airbrush, give it a shake, I just pour some of it straight into the cup. Don't have to thin it or anything, it's already very, very runny. Good amount like that. And I have quite a low PSI, maybe 15 or something like that, because it comes through really easily, like that. And then you just want to coat the entire model. So it just goes on really easy. Spray it all over. It does look like you're ruining the model, but don't worry about that. You're not. It's great stuff. I use this more often than not now rather than acrylic washes, just because you've got more control. It's if it's set and you don't like how it's set, just use some white spirits, take it off, put a bit more on, and you can just muck about with it until it's exactly how you want it. So I just cover the whole thing so it looks pretty brown like that, all over. Okay, so I'll just spray up the other ones. Okay, so this is where the magic really happens now, I suppose. Nice coat over all the bikers. So I get my mineral spirits, or white spirits as we call it in the UK. This one's an odourless one, like I said, mentioned before. I just pour a bit in the cap, like so, and I'll just put that to one side. And I just get a trusty old nasty brush, give it a good dip in there, and then I just get the model, and I usually start roughly at the top and just dab it around, and that'll start to loosen the rust streaks, and then just let it run down the model, start to work it off, and it'll just run into all the recesses of the model and stain it and give it a nice old weathered effect. These guys are supposed to be 10,000 years old, and it does look good on Chaos models, especially dirty, grimy models. So just on the bits I really want to be vibrant, I just work it around a bit and move on. Keep dabbing in my little cup. Dab, dab, dab. And any bits that I want to be vibrant, like that part there and on top, just dry my brush on my paper towel, and then just use that to suck up all the excess mineral spirits. On top of there, and on the shoulder pad I like that to be mostly visible. On the head, I'll suck it out of the eyes with a nice dry brush, because we've got to go back and do the eyes in a minute. And that's it really, just go around the model, just manipulating the wash as you see fit. Leave it in some areas because you want it to look aged. That's the whole idea. That's okay for that one, we'll let that one dry and see what it looks like. We'll move on to the next one. Mineral spirits is all mostly dried anyway. There's a fine sheen left of it, but that'll be dry before long. But the eyes are dry enough for do now, so for finish off. So I'm just going to finish them off with a small little bit in the corner with Fire Dragon Bright from Citadel. And then the opposite corner of the lens, a spot of dead white, just because it's a nice runny white, so it'll flow in when I just dot it into the corner nice and easily. So we'll get a little bit of Fire Dragon Bright on the palette, touch of water, and then we want to just touch this in towards the tip, corner of the eye there, towards the front of the lens. Just like that. And we want a little bit of the dead white. I'm going to try and dot this right in the opposite corner there. Tiny little dot. There we go, that's all we need. A little bit strong maybe. There we go. It's a little dot like that. So I'll just do that on the other side, and then that's the eye's done. Okie dokie. It's pretty much ready to base now. You could take this a bit further by highlighting all the metallics, edge highlighting, wherever you wanted to do. But I'm happy with how it is for now. I need to get a whole army of this painted up, so I'll be moving on to the next units. But yeah, maybe come back to it one day and just highlight some of the trims and things. But I think it looks fine just as it is, to be honest with you. Anyway, so yeah, it's time for basing. So for that, I use modelling sand and wood glue. I'll get my old brush again from previous stages. Get a load of this on and just start pasting it all over the base. Nice even coverage. That'll do. And then pop it in the tub. Make sure it all gets covered. And then just tap off the excess. Rub it off the rim where it's stuck on the rim. Just rub it off with your finger. Yeah, and then we'll have to let that dry, and then we'll start painting up the base and get this model finished. Time to paint the sand. I paint that Doombull brown for this scheme. Nice contrasting colour to what we've got on the models. So get a biggish brush for that. Maybe that one. Get some of this on the palette and put quite a bit of water in it, really thin it down so it'll run into all this sand like that. Next I do a all over the base with some Agrat's Earthshade by Citadel. A nice liberal coat of this all over the base that we've done so far. Right, the wash is dry now, so it's time for just put a few tufts on. So I've got some of these. I think these are army painter ones. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like a dead grass, like a dry dead grass look kind of look. A couple of these, little dab super glue. They do have a sticky back to them, but they just pop off, especially with the thing I'm going to do next. Maybe one about there. So I usually just put a couple of these on each model in sort of random spots. Okay, we're all tufted up and all glued in place. So next I use weathering powder, and that'll be the last stage on the model before painting the rim. So yeah, so I use light rust by Humbrol, this one is. So yeah, get some of this. And just get an old nasty brush you don't care about. Just dip it in. Now this is messy, but what can you do? And then just start pushing it in and rubbing it around the tuft at the bottom, and then all around the base, on the bottom of the bike, on his feet, exhausts, tyres. I try to leave it the Doombull brown colour around the outer edges, and just to put this towards the middle and underneath the bike. There we go. something like that. So next we just need to seal that, because obviously it's just a powder, it'll just come off and make a mess, so need to seal that with some matte varnish, just like we used before. So I've got some of my airbrush ready to go. I've got roughly 50-50 with the flow improver, and then just spray this all over the base, wherever we got the rust weathering powder. This will dull it down as well a bit, it won't be as bright as it was when you first put it on. Okay, we're all set now to paint the rim. I don't know about anyone else, but I love this part. Something really satisfying about painting the rim. You know you've finished your project. So I'm just using black by Vallejo model colour again, like we did on the tyres. It's a really nice matte black. And there we go. One finished Chaos Biker. And there we are, all finished. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something from it. Please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.